Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome back to PVS Live. I'm your host, Mark Puckett, and this is going to be the 13th, unlucky number 13th, live show. So maybe if some of you caught my vlog yesterday, I kind of started to discuss whether or not I should even continue doing this. I just don't feel like I'm getting the response that I was actually hoping for the live show. And maybe it's just the content. Maybe people just, people have such short attention spans these days, and it really is kind of hard to, I don't know, break through, make an impact, say something that's, I don't know, going to change lives or whatever. And most of the time, you're going to find a lot of content just like on BuzzFeed or, I don't know, some sort of list website where you've got plenty of top 10s that you can read all day. And I'm not necessarily trying to make fun of that kind of content. I'm just saying that people, for some reason, they're too busy. They just don't have enough time to carve out a full hour out of their day, especially when they've been working all day or whatever. And this being live content, at least it can be broadcast later, I suppose. But this being live content, sometimes it's just hard to schedule around. And I get that. I totally get that. A lot of times I'll miss the live stuff just because I've got other shit to do. So, but if you guys happen to actually be enjoying the live show, I actually enjoy doing it. So I'm not opposed to continuing. I'm just opposed to continuing in vain, if that makes any sense. I don't want to waste my time any more than I want to waste yours. Let's put it that way. Okay, so talking about the potential death of this show, I also want to briefly touch on the fact that I've been toying around with a potentially new Friday show. A completely different video, completely different series, and it would be more like a news roundup for that entire week. Sometimes, again, I realize it's very hard to keep up, stay up to date with all the things that have happened. And I think that if I did somewhere like anywhere from between a 5 to 7 minute, maybe even shorter than that. See, even 5 minutes seems to get into iffy territory, but roughly 5 minutes of basically photo news roundup. I will try to cover, let's say, all the biggest brands. I will even try to include some of the smaller brands. I will try to cover as much industry news as possible. Now, I don't know how in-depth that would be, but I think that's kind of the point, is just no one quite literally has the time for in-depth. They just don't have the time for it. And like I said, I get it. People have busy lives. They don't have that much time to be dedicating to a lot of content. But at the same time, that's probably the biggest reason why I've never really attempted this kind of content in the past. Well, I did, but I only made it like 4 or 5 episodes, and it was called the Photo Video Show Live View Edition, where I basically tried to do the exact same thing as I was just describing. It was sort of like a photographic news roundup of stuff that I thought was interesting in the world of photography or videography that week. Again, I garnered some views from it, but it wasn't as well received as I had hoped. And I just don't think that overly topical information, while it's valuable for a few seconds, maybe a few minutes at best, most of the time it's long gone and forgotten in just a couple of hours. No one really cares about it. It's a way to kill a few minutes of your time. It's just like watching a news program, pretty much. It's amazing how much time I've actually wasted watching news, and the problems and the things that were going on at that specific moment, long gone, well over with. No one cares. No one's even going to think about them again. So I did have that whole process potentially in mind where, okay, maybe I'll give it another shot, maybe do it in a more entertaining way, perhaps have it so that I don't know, cut it different, edit it different, but it would not be a live show. I think I'm at that point now where I'm sort of like, I'm not really sure if the content that I'm specifically providing, if it has any value. And that's okay if it doesn't. I think more people would be successful if they learn from their failures And if something's just not, if it's just not working out, chalk it up as a failure, move along to the next thing, and hope that it does better. I mean, that's pretty much going to be the topic of tonight's show, is setting goals. And when you set goals, sometimes you don't always reach them, despite how hard that you try. And that's okay. Failure is a part of success. You must realize this. And the sooner you do, the better off you're going to be. That's a 100% true fact. Learning to accept failure is an extremely important part. So, through my failures, I have gotten to the point where I'm at. I don't even feel, like I'm overly successful, but I'm consistent. I have sustained. And I think that says a lot about people who work very hard in general, is that, you're not always going to have that winning thing right there from the very beginning. It's not always going to be like that. Sometimes you're going to have to kill yourself. You're going to have to work really hard. Not all of your photos are going to go viral on Instagram. Not all of your videos are going to go viral on YouTube. Sometimes it's just a video. Sometimes it's just a photograph. And I think that's the big challenge, always. And that's the rat race that a lot of us are in. We're constantly wanting to try and create content. We're constantly wanting to try and create bigger, beautiful, more awesome things, and sometimes they just fall flat. But with all that being said, you shouldn't ever just give up. And I think that's the beautiful thing about being a very small operation, is that I was just discussing this with Joe from Joe's photo blog. If you haven't checked that out, Exodus Photo. Being small allows you to be very light and nimble. You're able to make changes, make adjustments very quickly, very easily. And if something's not panning out for you, if something's not working out for you, it's extremely easy for you to just go, you know what? Bad decision. It didn't work out. It wasn't going the way it was supposed to, or it was costing too much time or money, and it's time to just, cut your losses and go ahead and move on to something else. And I think that that's probably the hardest part for a lot of people, is letting go and admitting that they have ultimately encountered defeat. Okay? So, again, like I said, if you are interested still in the live show content, whether you actually have the schedule to catch it live, or if you just prefer to watch it afterward, I'd be interested in hearing your opinions. I'd be interested in hearing your suggestions on ways that I could potentially improve the show, ways that I could increase the value for you as a viewer. But again, I know that's asking a lot. Some of you all don't even have the time to write out comments and give a brother a thumbs up, or I don't know. It really is. It's a thankless job. But again, I know people are busy, so I'm not going to piss them on too long about all that. But if you are potentially interested in my idea for a Friday show, a photo roundup might be a better format, not live, not long form like the live show is, and heavily edited, heavily produced. But at least it will come in a bite-sized amount of information. Again, I don't know if you, my audience, actually would find any value in that or not, but I at least wanted to put it out there for you so that you would have it to digest, and then potentially leave me some feedback here on this video. That would be very, very cool of you if you did. So, now what I want to get into, having said all that, is I want to talk about setting goals. But before I start talking about setting goals and making them reality, I want to remind everyone that this is in fact a live show. So if you head on over to YouTube and you log on to the view page, which if you're viewing this, you should already be there, there's a chat room off to the right-hand side here. And you should be able to log in, hang out, chat, and talk with your other fellow photographers. And if you're watching this after the fact, if it's not live, then obviously you can't. But you can leave comments down at the bottom and continue that conversation long after the show has ended. Okay, so we're going to talk about setting goals. Now, this could be applied to a lot of different things. It doesn't necessarily have to just be for photographers or people in photography. That's not a requisite for this whatsoever. But I am going to point out specific things that are going to be very specific to photographers and that pertain specifically to stuff that we would be interested in. Okay, so the first thing that I'll say is, I know that some of you all may or may not be offended by the title of this video. Let's just get that out of the way right now. And if you are, you probably don't have the sense of humor that I'm. If you don't have a sense of humor, just don't watch me at all. Like, if you're one of those bleeding hearts that just absolutely positively can't understand the fact that most of this shit is just a joke or a metaphor or it's being used in context, those are the people I want to talk to. If you're a lame ass, overly self-protected human being, you're probably going to fail anyway because you're too ass hurt all the time to actually get anything done. You're too easily offended. You're walking around with your asshole in a sling all the time. I would prefer not to chit-chat with you specifically. Before I have some smartass tell me it's specifically, I know that. But yeah, there is a large percentage of people, when they set out to do something, they do not take into account that it is highly desirable for getting that goal accomplished to not be a bitch. And what I mean by that, let's get that out of the way first of all. That is not a sexist comment. And I am not trying to be derogatory toward the sexes. So again, let's try to keep this thing in context, shall we? By being a bitch, I'm talking about the fact that don't let people use you. Don't let every stray come up into your yard and bang the hell out of you and not even say thank you. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a doormat, not even to yourself. You're going to have to get so tough with the external world and especially yourself because honestly, most people are their own worst enemy. They use themselves and they don't use their time wisely. They don't set goals. So they have no roadmap. They have no plan. They don't do anything. They sit around and wonder why shit isn't happening. How come their craft doesn't get any better? How come their photography still sucks? How come they're still on their auto settings and they're not getting any better? They're not progressing. They're not advancing in any way, shape, or form. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that you're a bitch or that you haven't set goals or you have set goals and they're not realistic goals. Goals they're just ideas. They're very ethereal in nature. It's only until you begin to start taking steps that they even matter. Okay? Now, I'm not going to sit here and preach to you like some motivational speaker or whatever about. I'm definitely not going to coddle you and make you try to feel all foo-foo and tickle your ears and make you feel wonderful about yourself because, for the most part, you've had too much of that. Most of us have. If you're a millennial, you've definitely had too much of that. You've been coddled and told that you should always be in a safe, comfortable, loving, unoffensive environment. It's ridiculous how much you don't get it. Okay? There are going to be times when your work sucks. Your skills will suck. Your work ethic will suck. Your demeanor definitely will suck. You will get depressed. You will have people reject you. You will have people that will think that your art is shit. You will have people that will tell you to just straight off fuck off. They don't want to talk to you. And that's okay too, because let me first say that the first step in setting a goal is to realize the law of averages. You can only get so many no's until you get a yes. You can only have so many yeses before you eventually get a no. The law of averages dictates that you cannot have something forever. Okay? But what happens is that you will go through 2 or 3 no's and you get discouraged. And right before you get to your yes, you fucking quit. You stop. You stop moving. That's an extremely horrible way to live your life. To enjoy a level of success, you have to realize that those things are going to happen. You are going to get plenty of rejection. You're going to get plenty of no's. You're going to get plenty of people that tell you that you are terrible. Okay? And I realize that it hurts. I realize that it sucks. I realize that it doesn't feel good. But the ultimate goal is not to constantly be patting yourself on the back. You're not going to be successful every single time you go out there. Every single time you put yourself out there, you're not going to be successful. Just get that into your thick skulls. It's never going to be that way, and it shouldn't be that way. You would never enjoy the sweetness of success if that's all it ever was. You have to have a little bit of bitter failure in order to genuinely appreciate that sweet, sweet, succulent success. And a sweet, sweet Guinness drought. There was a guy named Spike Milligan who said, this is a quote, he said, we haven't got a plan, so nothing can go wrong. That is probably one of the most ludicrous statements that I've ever heard in my entire life. Absolutely ludicrous. To actually think that having no plan, so hey, nothing can go wrong, that's ridiculous. That's a person going nowhere fast. Extremely low expectations, and they don't care. Now, I want to also say that I am not a hardcore planner at all. I don't just revel in spreadsheets and writing down goals 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna do this first. I'm gonna do that second. I'm gonna do this third. I'm gonna do that fourth, and I'm just gonna start really doing the check marks here. Okay, I don't do that. I'm very organic in the way that I produce things. I mean, we're creative people. There's a 9 out of 10 chance, the law of averages, that you are a daydreamer, that you are you're out of your mind. Probably you probably got some depression. You're probably you've got some level of neuroses. You probably do. And again, that's okay. The crazy ones always have the best ideas. The nutty ones, the ones that take a chance, that really throw themselves to the wind and just kind of see where stuff, what happens. Not everything has to be this rigid, overly complicated, overly soul-crushing plan. Roadmaps are just that. I mean, it's a map, and you know that you want to get from here to here, but it doesn't mean that you can't veer off the beaten path a little bit and explore some things. Try some other stuff out. See what's going on over here, see what's going on over there. Allow yourself to branch out. Allow yourself to explore. Allow yourself to have the freedom. Allow yourself the freedom to do other things. Allow yourself to try new stuff, okay? Roadmaps and goals are fantastic. But I am not one of those types that says it's got to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'll finally get to the goal that I've been looking to get to. I mean, there are a ton of people out there, motivational speakers and all these other kinds of guys and gals that will try and show you how to achieve your goals through some sort of deep reflection and all this other kind of stuff. It's not that complicated. It's just not. And so many people, they take it to that extreme. And then again, when everything falls apart, they go, I quit. I give up. I can't do it anymore. I have gone as far as I can go, and this is it. This is as far as I can do. And it's because they try to stick too rigidly to that plan. And it should not be that way. So, first of all, don't be a bitch to your goals. Don't let your goals dictate to you your goals. You know what I'm like? It sounds complicated, but it's not. Don't be rigid in your goal setting. Be very flexible. Be willing to move and shake with the times. Be willing to overcome and adapt as situations and conditions ultimately change. And they always, always change. Sometimes it's just not going to go the way you had hoped it would go. And that is perfectly okay. So like I said, my approach is very organic. I allow myself the ability to have, to go other places, to veer off the beaten path a bit. But there is a place for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is a place for that. But you and I, and most other people that are in the creative arts, we don't really respond that well to that overly sort of deep structure, very like measurement. You know, like I've got measurements, and I'm going to measure my success with a pie chart and all this other things. We don't, for some reason, we just don't do that. There may be a few of you out there that have both left and right brain. You're very analytical about your art or whatever. But I'm not one of them. And most of the people that I know that are in the creative arts or the performing arts or whatever are not either. We're not interested. But you have to understand that if you are in photography, charts and graphs and stuff are fine when you're trying to learn all of this stuff, because there is a lot to absorb. I will grant you that. There is a ton of stuff to absorb. But at the exact same time, it's just not the best mode. Hands-on learning is the best, okay? Goal setting organically for an artist, in my opinion, is the best, because it allows you the breathing room to get creative on a whim. And there's a lot of people that need that, especially if they're just now kind of like getting into all of this. You know, if they're just now getting into photography, and they're like leaving a day job, they're getting out of their 9 to 5, they're getting out of their, I don't know, maybe they were a janitor or a spreadsheet person at a, I don't know, or maybe they made beds at a hotel. Who the hell knows? Whatever it was, whatever soul-sucking job that it was. I used to work in IT in a call center, and it was the most horrendous job of my entire life. Like, I knew so many people that would have probably rather have thrown themselves out of the window than to have sit there one more day. And that's sad when you can't even enjoy the place that you are going to spend 1/3 of your life at. To me, it's effed up, really. But what I would rather you do in all of your planning, when you're trying to decide on the goals that you're wanting to achieve, I would say, why don't you just ask yourself, you know, what do you want to do with your craft? Where do you want to be? How do you want to set this thing up? What do you see yourself doing? You know, not just day to day, but what do you see yourself doing with your photography? Do you see yourself doing certain things. Maybe you want to try new stuff. What do you see? How do you see yourself as a photographer? How do you see yourself? Have you grown any? Will you grow? Try to envision yourself in a year from now. And ask yourself, will I be any better? Is everything that I'm doing, is it making me a better photographer? Is everything that I'm doing, is it making me more proficient in whatever it is I'm trying to achieve? Am I actively working? Am I proactively increasing my skill set? And as a creative, I get it. There's a lot of times where even me, and I say even me like I'm something special, but what I'm saying is that, I sit here and I preach, be organic in your goal setting because that's what I try to do. But even I will occasionally get lazy. I think that is another trait of creative. Sometimes we just get really lazy, and if we don't have positive reinforcing people around us to encourage us and help us out, sometimes even we can become a bitch to our own goals. We will allow our goals to use us and then toss us aside and not even say thank you. So you got to watch out for that. You will be your own worst enemy a lot of times. You'll get lax. You'll rest on your laurels. You think you did a something or another, and you're all that, and you'll just stop. But you've got to say to yourself, what do you want to do with your craft? What do you see yourself out there doing? What do you see your work? How is it improved? What's your portfolio going to look like in a year? Is it going to look better, or is it going to look the exact same? Are you going to improve whatsoever? You might toss in some new pictures in that portfolio, but will they be any better than the ones that you already got? They may be newer, but newer doesn't mean better. So technically, will your photography be any better in a year from now? Do you have any goals? Do you have any sense of where you're going, where you're going to be taking yourself? Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I have a really hard time sticking to my goals. I set goals for myself all the time, and I probably need a nap for that sometimes. But like I said, you can set goals and be organic about those goals. Don't be overly hard on yourself about where you're trying to go with your craft. Because ultimately, if you go and you're too hard on yourself and you put too much pressure on yourself to succeed, you'll also fail. But that doesn't give you a pass. You don't get a pass. The only one that you're going to end up cheating is yourself anyway. And it's rough. It really is. It's rough to stay motivated all the time, and to make sure that you're setting yourself up for success. You have to create an environment in which, people are going to be supporting you. You're going to have a community of people that are interested in what you have to say, interested in what you're doing. And if they see that you have a real passion for it, then your peers will become equally, maybe not equally, but that energy will rub and it will transfer. And then when they catch the bug, they can retransfer it back to you when you're having an off day or an off week or an off month or whatever. But those goals keep you focused on at least something forward looking, right? Because I don't think enough of us do that on a day-to-day basis. Like, all right, man, this is my portfolio, but what is it actually going to look like in a year from now? Is it going to be any better? Are people going to be more wowed, more excited? Are more clients going to book me? Are more people going to be interested? And you almost have to be your own worst critic. You have to say, this is shit. Because if you overly believe in your work, and here's another thing, there is no wrong way to do your own art. If you are genuinely pleased with the final product, then, stop there. Good. But if it's only half-assed, and it's half-assed, Don't be offended and pissed off. Don't be a bitch to someone else when they go, dude, this work is shit. This is garbage work. Just stop. Stop doing it. You're offending me with your bullshit. Be honest with yourself. Sometimes your best is not your best. Do not put anything forward that is not your best. And you know when it's your best. You know, you're like, God, I mean, that is an amazing photograph. I have hit this son of a bitch right out of the park. I am so pleased with this. I am so amazed with this piece of work. Those are the ones. The ones you just keep flipping back to. The ones you always look at. Those are the ones that go in your portfolio. Those are the ones you put forward. Don't ever put out a hunk of shit just because you think it's alright, okay? That's good enough. You know, the other people, they won't know that this, that, and the other. No, but you know. So why would you do that? Now, granted, if it was the best, if it was the absolute best shot of a photo shoot, then I say, fine, go ahead and put it out there. But that's a personal compromise I make with myself. But I could take 1,000 shots during a photo shoot and maybe get 5 to 10 total. 5 to 10 total that I actually like. Really like. You know what I'm saying? Where no one's blinking, the hair, the makeup, everything looks fantastic. But again, those are goals for me. I strive to take at least, I mean, we'd like for, you know, all of our photos to be awesome, but that's just not reality. So what I try to do is I try to aim for a goal of at least, you know, 5 to 10 every shoot, where I really just kind of stop and think, all right, is the lighting perfect? Is it falling everywhere I want it to? Is my aperture exactly where I want it to be? Is the depth of field right? Is everything that's in focus that I want to be in focus? Is everything blurred that I want to be blurred out? Is the composition right? Am I getting too much floor or too much ceiling? Am I getting too much sky or grass? You know, I really try to do those thought exercises and try to balance everything out. And if you did that every single shot, it would just the photo shoot would take forever. But there are times when you really should just go out of your way to be the best fucking photographer that you possibly can be, and try to be that way all the time. And get so proficient at it that that you don't have to think about it that much. Okay, enough preaching. I'm done. Now let's get on to, first of all, you have to prioritize your goals. Okay, you have to prioritize your goals. But you and me as a photographer, period, end of story, you cannot ever leave your camera at home. Okay? It's just not an option. You miss too many opportunities. Entirely too many opportunities end up being missed because you leave your fucking camera at your house. You've got to stop that. I've got to stop that. If you've got a great phone with an amazing camera or whatever that comes really close, you know, I say maybe you could leave your camera at home. But what happens if you're far away from an event and you like to zoom in? You know, what do? Sometimes it is a hassle. I agree. 110% I agree. But sometimes it is just a hassle to drag your camera and your lenses and maybe a flash and a reflector. Sometimes it's just a pain in the ass. But what to you, what's more of a pain in the ass? Is it taking the stuff around that we claim we love? Is that more of a pain in the ass? Or is never getting any shots except only the planned ones? Is that more of a pain in the ass? Honestly, I don't know. I'd like to hear what you all think about it. I just want to remind everyone before we go on to the next step, this is in fact a live show. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. And if you have any thoughts or suggestions or comments, don't forget that if you go to the YouTube watch page, you can chat with your other fellow photographers and videographers and discuss this whole topic with us. And I'd like to hear from you. You know, there's absolutely no reason not to participate. If you're already watching, let's chat. Let's talk. Let's find out what you got to say. So, all right, good deal. I just logged into the chat room. I got kind of caught up. People think I'm yelling. I apologize if it sounds like I'm yelling. Maybe I'll just turn my microphones down a little bit. I apologize. Is that better? Okay. All right, so now let's get back to this. No, so first of all, like you said, you know, you can't leave your camera at home. Period. End of story. You're not you cannot photograph. You cannot be a photographer and not have the one thing you need to accomplish your job. Okay, you know, I hear so many people go, "Well, I'm just a wedding photographer, or I'm just a portrait photographer, or whatever." And I get that. You know, I really do. I get it, but at the same time, open yourself up a little bit, just a smidge. There's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of techniques out there that you and I and most other people genuinely could potentially, possibly enjoy if only given the chance, right? I don't think that you or I or anyone else, just because we say, okay, I'm a portrait photographer, that you should never take a picture of your dog. You don't think that. I don't think that. You never not take a picture of your animals just because you're a portrait photographer. And just because you take a picture of a dog doesn't make you, excuse me, a pet photographer. You have to allow yourself breathing room. Be organic. You're alive. You're a living, breathing human fucking being. And you say you're a photographer, pick up your tools and get to work. You know what I mean? Take them with you. You've got to take your tools with you. You cannot create, you know, you can't create a piece of furniture without a hammer and a saw and a planer. You need the tools to do your job. And if you constantly just go, well, I'm only going to photograph on the days that I have an appointment, then you miss those opportunities. So that being said, take your camera with you. Okay? Always have that camera with you. Second, shoot at least, at the bare minimum, one photo per day. I know that sounds corny. It almost sounds like a top 10 list or some shit. But it's really not. It has more to do with the fact that you cannot hone your craft if you're only periodically picking up your tool and utilizing it. And I don't just mean, all right, snap, done. You know, if you quite literally don't put any thought into it, don't even pick up the camera because you're useless. Right? That's half-assed. Anyone can do that. But you have to even set yourself little micro goals. Okay, I'm going to take a shot today. And here's what I want to improve. I really want to see if I can get that shot I took last week, but I would like to increase, I would really like to contrast it a bit more with the sky. I really want to see, you know, what, just whatever it happens to be. Think. Just use your brain. So many people just want to throw shit on automatic, throw shit on automatic white balance, throw shit into dumbed down mode, really. And you don't even want to try. You just don't want to even give, you don't even want to give yourself a chance to maybe think that, hey, I could potentially do better today. I could learn something today and increase the volume of knowledge that I have stored in my head instead of having it constantly spoon-fed to me by other people. It really is a horrible way to live. Grow a pair and don't be a bitch to your own laziness. Okay? There are so many different ways that you and I, every single day, can improve, especially lighting and composition. I think that those two right there are probably the largest portions of photography that most people don't really think about, but should. Composition and lighting. I mean, first of all, there is no photography without lighting. You need light. It is the art of light photography. Everything revolves around light. But composition, thinking about your comps, thinking about how they're going to look. How do you want the stuff to be in relation to everything else in that frame? Be mindful of that, thoughtful of that. Experienced photographers know how to do that. They think about the environment. They think about the surroundings. They think about light cast. They think about how things are going to look. They genuinely give themselves a real chance at improving their art every single day, because they're very mindful of their surroundings. They're very mindful of their compositions. They know how light is going to react. You know what? That is from decades of trying and giving a shit. And if you don't, you can expect to be bottom barrel, bottom shelf, all your life. And that's okay. You get exactly what you put into it. And you fucking deserve it. You really do. You fucking deserve it. Nobody deserves to be awesome for doing absolutely nothing. And if you do nothing, you are nothing. You are the sum total of what you do. If you put absolutely no effort into it, you give no shits, you deserve no pats on the back. There's no trophy for sucking, okay? You cannot take a highly skilled craft, which most everything is, unless you want to scrub toilets. And I know you don't need much skill for that. But you can't relegate other people that have worked their ass off for decades and decades to become so good at what they do that it becomes like second nature, and you just want to flip your camera on and just go, oh, I'm going to go out and take amazing pictures. It's going to be super duper awesome. No, you're going to suck. Your work's going to suck. Your portfolio's going to suck. No one's ever going to display your work. You're never going to be in a gallery. You're never going to be in the newspaper. You might be a bit awesome on Instagram or something like that, but other than that, you're done. You're done. You'll be forgotten. No one will remember your bullshit. Okay. Now, here is the next thing. As far as goals are concerned, learn a new technique. Try it. A goal every single day, or every single week, or every single month. You should learn a new technique. But Mark, what are you talking about? How many techniques are there? You pull your camera out and you push the button on what you want to be in the frame, and that's it, right? No, that's not it. There are a million different ways to create art in photography. I mean, aside from color, you've got black and white, you've got panoramas, you've got HDRs, you can do star trails, work on your studio, lighting techniques, shooting silhouettes. Maybe you'd like to do some silhouette photography. Firework photography is fun. Slow shutter photography is fun. I love shutter drag, fun. There's just a lot of stuff out there that I guarantee you've never done. One of my favorite things to do is lunar photography. I don't know what it is about that damned old moon, but I absolutely love to photograph the moon. I'm in love with lunar photography. And I do try many times to take photographs of the moon, but I have yet to invest in a really long, amazing, like 600 millimeter lens. But eventually I'm going to do that. Or either that or I'm just going to get a telescope with a DSLR adapter ring or whatever. And I'm going to start taking those photographs that I've been wanting to take. I don't know what it is about that goddamn moon up there, but when it's really full and it's bright and it's beautiful and the sky is clear, it just rocks my socks off. But okay, you've got to learn a new technique, and you must do it every day. Try at least. Take some time out. Set yourself a reminder on your phone. Just go, yeah, I set a reminder every single day for a generally free time during the day, and tell yourself, yo, pick up your camera, shit wad, and go shoot something. Cuss at yourself too. It's really healthy to berate yourself. But whatever you got to do, put it on your phone, Apple Watch, or whatever you use, a pen and paper, sticky note on the refrigerator, whatever you got to do, remind yourself to try to learn new techniques all the time. And that's only half the story, though, because as much fun as it is to learn a new technique and maybe comprehend the basics, it's even more fun to actually learn to perfect that technique, actually become proficient in that technique. You don't have to be like class leading in a particular technique. You don't have to be the Peter Hurley. Like, I've looked at a lot of his portraits. I don't know why people are on his dick so much, but no offense to Peter. I mean, I know he tries really hard, and I know that he's very popular and everything. I guess people are just, I don't know, they have a different definition of awesome than I do, but you don't have to be the Peter Hurley of portrait photography. You don't have to be an expert in HDR photography. You just got to not only understand the basics, but be proficient at accomplishing that particular technique. So if someone comes up to you and goes, yeah, I'd like to hire you, but I want to make sure that you're able to do X, Y, and Z. I want to make sure that you can do some, I don't know, real estate photography. Can you, help a brother out, And you go, yes, I can. Because just 6 months ago, I was out and, of course you don't tell the client this, but you say this to yourself. You go, yes, I worked my ass off for an entire 2 months, every single day, giving myself the opportunity to take amazing real estate photography shots. And that's what you have to do. Because should you do that, should you actually give a shit and you actually try, you will, in fact, be able to market yourself and go, yep, I've done that. Yep, I'm actually pretty damn good at it. Here's some stuff that I'm going to toss into my portfolio. Go ahead and have a gander at it, and you let me know exactly, what you think. And they may hire you, they may not. Again, remember, don't be a bitch. They might reject you. They might tell you, dude, your work sucks. Or maybe they won't say that. They'll just go, all right, thank you very much. This is not exactly what we were looking for. That's another way of saying that they don't like it. Just accept that. Because it's going to happen a lot. A whole lot. Okay. Now, learning new techniques is awesome, but you should also try to learn different types of photography. There are lots of different types out there. Macro photography, portraits, street photography, night photography, bird photography, time-lapse photography, food photography, still life photography, high-speed photography, tilt shift photography, fetish photography. There are a million different types of ways to take pictures, and there are a lot of people out there that have been doing specific types of photography for a very long time. Again, I'll reference Peter Hurley, and for whatever reason, he has done some amazing stuff in the world of portrait photography, and he has made a name for himself. He has done it so much and so often that, he gets to charge $1,200 per hour just for someone to stand in front of his lens. He's gotten to that point where his time is so valuable that he can charge $1,200 per hour. Not everyone is ever going to reach that goal. Not everyone is going to be able to achieve that level of success. So I'm not saying don't try. I'm not saying you shouldn't try. I'm just saying don't expect that every single time. Shoot for it, set a goal for it, but realize that this is real life and people are going to tell you no. People are going to tell you that it's not what they're looking for. People are going to bash you on occasion. People are going to tell you that you suck on occasion. But the long and short of it is you don't have to be a bitch to your own feelings. You can continue to try. You can continue to really give a try each and every day. Be dedicated. Be consistent. Be ruthless with yourself. And even when you don't feel like doing it, do it every day. Every single day. Don't be a bitch to your emotions. Your emotions are lies. Your emotions are temporary, ethereal things. Embrace those emotions. Use them and contort them and create things with those emotions, but don't listen to them. Your emotions will cause you, it alters your perception of what reality is. Emotions are lies. I mean, there will be so many times we will feel your emotional self will go, I am a loser. I suck. None of this is working out. But after you have a couple, rub one out, do you really think that you're a loser, honestly? Do you think you suck at life? Are you a Sal? It's just ridiculous. You should not listen to your emotions. Your emotions will lie to you. And then once that emotion has passed, your sane self will regain consciousness and you go, that was a rough one. Woo! Whoo! That was bad. I could have drowned myself in a toilet last night. I was so drunk. Phew, but I'm glad I got over that one. And you don't suck anymore. So don't listen to your emotions. Your emotions are going to lie to you. Here's another thing that I would like for everyone to at least try. As a matter of fact, I'm going to start doing it whether I want to or not. I'm quite literally, I'm just going to set a date, for any sort of particular day. And obviously it's probably going to be on a weekend because keeping you guys entertained is a full-time job. And I'm just going to pick a day on a weekend each and every month. I'm going to do a photo walk because a lot of times, and maybe this is true for some people, I don't know if it's true for everybody, but photo walks open you up to the opportunity to maybe kind of sort of take photographs of shit that you normally would not take. And I'm not talking about just standard old street photography where you're walking down the street and you're just trying to capture people on the street doing stuff. What I mean by a photo walk is you walk and you try lots of different things. You try some macro, maybe you try some portrait, maybe you try some group, maybe you try street, maybe you try candid, maybe you try photojournalism, maybe you just try something other than what you think you're only good at. And I've done that before. I have pigeonholed myself a lot of times. I have totally lied to myself and goes, dude, you are a portrait photographer. That is what you're good at. And that is the only thing that you're ever going to be good at. I've lied to myself and told myself that many, many times. True story. But I know that I am good at other shit. I love creative art. I love creative art shoots. As a matter of fact, I've got some video that I'm probably going to post up here eventually. I'm not sure when that I'm going to get to it and actually be able to edit it or whatever. But I did like a 7 or 8 hour long photo shoot. And it was supposed to have gone 12 hours. But it was a shoot that involved like 4 or 5 different themes. I can't remember how many it was right off the top of my head. I think it was 4. Could have been 5. But anyway, it was modern reinterpretations or modern recreations and I've done this in the past, mono recreations of old art. It was so much fun. I had never done that before, as far as doing like these multiple shoots all in one day. We had several different models that came in. We had painted sets. We had props. We had all the stuff. It was just crazy how awesome the shoot was. And I had an absolute ball with it. Had never done it before. And I actually had fun that day. It was long. It was grueling. It was work. But it was fun. It was so much fun. And I think we lose a lot of that. We lose a lot of fun because we're constantly hard on ourselves. We're constantly down on ourselves. We constantly think that, oh, this is no good, or I suck, or I don't have the right amount of equipment, or I'm not, I don't have the good lenses that everyone else thinks that I should have. And all of that is not true. All of that is garbage. All of that is 100% false. So many people rely too heavily on their gear, and they don't just set goals for themselves. Skip the gear for like, I don't know, a year. Just go, you know what? Whatever I've already bought, I thought it was good when I bought it. So for 1 year, I'm just going to go out and I'm going to see what I can create with this setup, this system, these lenses this year. I'm going to do a photo walk each month. I'm going to learn a new type of photography. I'm going to learn a new technique. I'm going to at least shoot one photograph per day. And I promise that I will never leave my camera at home. And without a doubt, 100% unequivocally, will I never become a bitch, not to another person, not to my emotions, not to self-entitlement, not to myself. I will never be a bitch and be used and taken advantage of. I will never, ever just sit back and take it. It's going to be the way I envision it to be. And I'm going to work every single day to make that a reality. I'm not going to be pressured or pushed or molded by somebody else or by line emotion. All that stuff I'm not going to allow to happen. I'm actually going to consciously make an effort every single day to not be a puppet to my emotions, to myself, to other people, to the pressures. I'm just going to create some fucking art. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability, and I'm going to make an effort to do it every single day. So that's about it, guys. That's my motivational speech for this week, and I hope you guys totally enjoyed it. And if you did, don't forget to thumbs up this video, comments, and leaving me, feedback on how I'm doing. It's very beneficial as far as continuing further and making more content like the same. So as I was discussing at the beginning of the show, if you didn't happen to catch it, this may or may not be the last live show. I really haven't decided yet. I guess it'll kind of depend on what everyone has to say between now and next Tuesday. Because like I said, I enjoy doing the show, but I don't want to waste your all's time, and I don't want to waste mine if it's not reaching the ears, if it's not reaching the eyeballs, if you guys genuinely aren't enjoying it. I happen to like talking to you guys. I like the live interaction of a live show. Just for the last couple of, like 2 or 3 shows, it just hasn't been there. So, it's one thing to do a show for people that actually interact with you. It's another thing to just sit around and talk to yourself. So that's the kind of the dilemma I'm in. Because the live, if I was just going to never talk to anyone, then I wouldn't do a live show. I would just do it pre-recorded, edit it, toss it up, and get reactions afterwards. But anyway, I just wanted to kind of let you guys know that this may be the last live show. I'm not really for sure yet. Again, it'll kind of depend on what happens. And also, I'm still thinking about doing the Friday show. So if you missed the beginning of the episode tonight, rewind this biatch and check that out. See what my plans were and what I kind of had to say about it. Let me know if that's a good idea, if you kind of dig that. But at any rate, I want to thank you guys again for stopping here at PBS Live number 13. Unlucky number 13. This could be the final one. But I always appreciate everyone that decided to stop by. I want to say thank you to Aaron Gatt, the Links, Hep Kitty Coins, and who else happened to show up and comment? Tristan, and that was it. At least the ones that commented. There's probably more of you right now or earlier that happened to stop by, and I appreciate it. So if you happen to stop by and I didn't recognize you, I apologize. You just didn't comment in the chat room for me to say hello. At any rate, thanks again for stopping here at PVS Live. I'm your host, Mark Puckett. I'll see you guys again on the next one. Peace.